Hey everyone, it's me, Ashley. Today we're going to talk about the First Amendment, specifically the First Amendment in our classrooms and in school. In my classroom, at the beginning of every semester, I make sure that the students are very much aware of their rights, as well as the school's rights and consequences for certain behavior. It's important that in our classroom, that students are aware of what they're able to do, what their rights are, as well as understand the consequences of their actions. For example, if a student yells fire and there is no fire in the classroom or in the hallway, most schools will punish the student for basically pulling the alarm and screaming fire and there wasn't one. Reason they're doing that is because, it puts other students in harm's way. It causes disruption of education, thus resulting in the student getting in trouble. One of the things the students aren't aware of is that they believe they're able to say whatever they want, whenever they want, without any consequences because of their free speech. For example, if you think of the Bethel School District versus Fraser, the student believed he was going to be president of student body president. And when he was giving his speech as to why he should be president, he made some lewd, gross, and graphic sexual metaphors toward his opponent. And many students in the audience began to yell the obscenities toward the other opponent. And when everything was done with the end, and the school punished him. When he tried to sue the school because he said that's his first right amendment, the decision came out to be that the school did not violate the student's right. It was believed that the First Amendment does not prevent a school district from disciplining a student for using speech that is lewd and indecent. It is the responsibility of the school to prohibit the use of vulgarity and teach students about the boundaries of appropriate behavior. So, this is actually quoted from the Judicial Learning Center. They did a bunch of different cases on each of the amendments and discussed the decisions, and this is one of the ones that I found most interesting. So basically it comes down to students need to be aware that their speech has consequences, that what they say, yes, they have a right to say it, but that doesn't mean there's not going to be consequences to what they're saying. In a modern society, though, they're not taught that. They're simply saying, you have a right to free speech. You can say whatever you want. And to an extent, you do. You do have a right to free speech, but there will be consequences to what you say. And as teachers, if we can teach these consequences or make them aware that, yes, although it is your right to say things, depending on what you say, there are consequences to your actions, then I think students' conversations would change and students will be more aware of how their behavior and how they speak is important to them and to how they are seen by others and how they respect others. By teaching these little things, I believe our students can become better citizens of society. Another big thing that is becoming an issue with freedom of speech is technology. As I mentioned before, things like Snapchat, Hangout, WhatsApp, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I don't think anybody does MySpace anymore. Those are becoming modes in which freedom of speech is also going to be more limited. There have been many cases recently about how texting, to an extent, can actually violate some cases of freedom of speech, as in one case that was just hitting the news near my hometown of a young man who was texted this whole plan to shoot up the school, and it got out, and he argued it was his freedom of speech. He can say whatever he would like, yet the whole planning of the school, shooting up the school, and all of that, it came out that he was actually, yes, he was able to say it, but there are consequences were there. He was, arrested and dealing with OSS, and I'll have to do a lot more research because it was kind of a big deal where I'm from. But students, we just need to make sure our students are aware that as modern society as modern society progresses and things like texting becomes a mode for communication, the same amendments and the same consequences will start to play out in texting, in communicating beyond just speech. As teachers, that is our job to make sure that they understand that they're using their rights in an appropriate way.